There's only 3 games left in the National Football League, and everything's on the line as we decide who's going to the Super Bowl in NFL Conference Championship weekend. And not only who's going to the Super Bowl, but what bets you need to place right now. Stay tuned for our NFL Conference Championship Best Bets and Props episode. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of the Degen Talks. What is up, folks? 3 games left. Good news, bad news, good news, awesome games. Bad news, we're almost done with football. But we've got NFL Conference Championship weekend. We are going to keep partying on. And what do you mean by that? We're going to keep giving out winners. That's what we do here at the Degen Docs. And we are very excited to talk some ball with you. Who is yelling in your ear right now? Look, we are the Degen Docs. I'm Doc here. But more importantly, joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
Can't complain too much, except for it's fucking cold outside. But I guess that does mean that we are in the NFL playoffs, championship games coming up this weekend. We got a couple doozies to look forward to on Sunday.
I will say that this sounds like where they're playing is going to be better weather than where we are.
Oh,
but, I'm like we had some weather games last week. Chicago game was pretty sweet, but it doesn't look like we're going to get too much weather for the games.
Right.
If you are in the Midwest or the Rust Belt, definitely going to want to be bundled up. Good thing we got football to watch on our TVs. Right. But hey, folks, if this is your first time joining us, well, you're not too late to the party here at the Degen Docs. Cheers to you. And if it is you've been rocking with us all season long, double cheers to you here. Look, a little bit of show structure, a little bit of expectation management. This is the Conference Championship Best Bets and Player Props episode. So, the way this is going to start off, we'll do a little bit of banter. We got some NFL coaching news that we want to talk about a little bit. We'll do a little takeaways from the divisional rounds. But look, it's pretty simple. We got 2 massive games to break down. We're going to break it down for every which angle. We're going to tell you, obviously, the lines, the weather, the injury report, what you need to know, and, of course, actionable items, what bets we have our money on, and we would advise you. And then we'll wrap it up with everyone's favorite section, best bets. Like we bet to call around here, Doc's prescriptions, bets we feel so good about. We are prescribing them to you. All right, folks, let's start off with some of those divisional round takeaways. As the gracious host that I am, I'm going to let you go first, my friend. Look, divisional rounds, 4 games, pretty exciting. Some the sloppiest game I maybe ever seen. Some really good football down to the wire. What are your overall takeaways from divisional weekend?
Yeah, I mean, that the first game, last game, I mean, it was kind of a sandwich kind of a weekend. First game, last game were both bangers. Both went into overtime. The other 2 were just kind of tough to watch. I mean, putting that Seattle-San Francisco game on as the late game and it being a massive blowout, I turned that one off and went to bed on a Saturday because, or at least I go to bed at like 9:30 on most days. So once Seattle, got up by I think 3 touchdowns, I'm like, all right, let me find something better to do with my life. And that you mentioned it, that New England Houston game. I
don't know if it was
I don't even know what to call it.
It was an awful game, but was it a good game? Like it was exciting, but it was also awful football. It was insane.
Yeah, I mean. 8 turnovers? I mean, Stroud had 4 interceptions in the first half.
Which is crazy.
Just ugly. Yeah, I mean, it was just ugly football. But at the end of the day, I mean, I guess New England has the road to the Super Bowl now that, Denver has lost their starting quarterback due to an ankle fracture, which was another kind of crazy situation there.
Fine post game and
Saturday afternoon. Yeah, everything's hunky dory. Bo Nix walking off the field, does his press conference, goes back, and I don't know how long it was. 30 minutes later, a couple hours later,
after that press conference.
Sean Payton, just to let you know, starting quarterback Bo Nix has fractured his ankle. He's done for the year.
Yeah, that was wild.
Okay.
What? Yeah. No, man, insane. Look, so quick takeaways for me. Bit of a ref show. Bills Patriots. We were both on Denver money line, and we were both saying like, I almost was mad. I mean, I was my biggest bet of the weekend was
Yeah.
Denver money line. It was my lock. But I hate winning games like that, man.
Yeah.
You got to feel for Buffalo. That was kind of a horseshit, just the pass interference. I'm not even like the interception thing. I thought was like, I'm not even more mad about that. I'm more mad about those like Nick's throwing up at clearly the play after he fractured his ankle. That last lollipop where he completely underthrew it.
Yeah.
That was PI. So that was.
I completely agree.
But look, Seahawks, like you said, pelt to ass, man. That was cast the Seahawks defensive special teams anytime touchdown, and then the game was pretty much over from there. It's restaurant week here in Kansas City. Thankfully, I had to plan a date night for one of the games, and thankfully I picked that one because it's pretty much over from the opening kick.
Good for you.
And then man, that sloppy turnover game was. I was telling you, man, is CJ Stroud the new Tua Tagovailoa? He's played 2 cold weather games this playoffs. He looked like shit in both of them. You'll have some defending to do for your Ohio State man there. And then that Bears game, like what an insane! It was pretty boring for the most part, and then the fourth quarter really picked up.
Yep.
What a fucking throw! I mean, to go all the way back and I'm like, what are you doing?
50 yards.
What are you doing? Yeah, that's one of those like clear like on the
turn
sidelines.
Around, chuck it.
All the coaches are like, no, yes. Yeah, like the classic. But it's Caleb Williams, man. He just done it all year, and then unfortunately, it was him throwing the turnovers. 3
He's a
interceptions.
kind of character for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a true roller coaster quarterback. You're gonna get the major highs and those lows. So, fun weekend of football here. Look, but hey, we'll do our recap. Unfortunately, not our best week. I did hit the lock and the plus 450 Seattle defensive special teams anytime touchdown. That was pretty much the highlights. Pretty meh. Otherwise, you were 2-2 on the game picks overall. Props, not so great. So probably, unfortunately, not a great week for us. Wildcard weekend when we were up almost 9 units. Much better weekend. So hey, hopefully you at least you get the highs and the lows with gambling. That's kind of how it goes. So. Hey, if it follows the playoff trend, wild card weekend we were up here. Divisional we were a little down here, and then hopefully we're getting back up there.
We're coming back up.
Hopefully we're peaking up right in time for the Super Bowl. But before we get into that stuff, man, a couple of news I just want to get your quick opinions on. We can get a lot more into this in the offseason, but the coaching carousel in the NFL has fully swung a little bit. I mean, we got 4 out of the 10, I believe. Yeah, 4 out of the 10 coaching vacancies. So really quickly, Giants, John Harbaugh, clear number 1 candidate as a very biased Giants fan. Falcons get Kevin Stefanski. Dolphins get the Green Bay defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. Titans getting Robert Saleh. Just really quickly, best hire in your opinion, or maybe you got like a interesting controversial take. Anything from those 4?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a whole, I think Stefanski going down to Atlanta is probably my favorite hire, to be honest with you. I think obviously Harbaugh and like the CEO type of a coach, I think he fits well in New York for your Giants, but Stefanski in the way that he likes to run offense, I think really meshes with the players that Atlanta has. I mean, obviously you have the best running back probably in football.
I think that's a fair statement.
But you also have some other pieces around him with Drake London and Pitts had a pretty good year.
Absolutely. He did.
And you have some other guys down there in Atlanta with, again, one of the best offensive lines in football. That when Cleveland was rolling a few years ago and had some decent years, they also had one of the best offensive lines in football. So I do think that Kevin Stefanski going down there to Atlanta makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Saleh, I mean, the controversial thing is like Robert Saleh has gone to probably the worst 2 franchises in the last 10 years in the New York Jets and the Tennessee Titans. And I mean,
you're honest, not far off. Hey, new times, new era, new Harbaugh era is here.
That's right. But like, I mean, I'm guessing that other teams would have at least inquired about Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
They interviewed him.
Absolutely.
I just don't know if they didn't think it was a good fit, but I question his decision making.
Yeah,
at
no,
this
that's
point
fair.
a little bit.
Yeah, from the Jets and that dumpster fire, which got worse when he
Yep.
left, by the way.
Yep.
And then, look, they got Jeffrey Simmons. I know Simmons was excited about that,
Right.
but there's not a lot on that roster.
Nope.
I know they got a lot of cap space and some obviously draft capital, but
and I mean, they're building a new stadium, I think, and some other things. I think there are some highlights of going to Tennessee. I mean, you're going to live in Nashville, which is one of my favorite cities across the country. So,
great place to live.
Yeah, I mean, there are some pluses, but from a roster standpoint, there's not much there.
I mean, you got a way better quarterback situation than you had at the Jets. So obviously, Aaron Rodgers with the Achilles tear. But interesting for sure. I like your Stefanski point though. Because he's had pretty shit quarterbacks in Cleveland and still made it work. And whether it's Kirk Cousins or Pennick coming off a second ACL tear or however many times he's torn his, it's not a great quarterback situation. That's like the big takeaway. And he's kind of worked with that and made it work. And Tommy Reese,
and their defense looked a lot better. Obviously, Cleveland's defense is
they keep Ulbrich as the DC OC. Tommy Reese just signed, I think, today. And that'll bring me to a couple coordinators there. Mike McDaniel looks like he's going to sign with the Chargers to be their OC. Eric Bieniemy just signed with the Chiefs actually just a couple minutes ago. It was finalized. And then Sean McDermott fired, but GM Brandon Beane not only retained but promoted.
Yeah.
What takeaways on any of those?
Yeah, that's just an interesting situation. I think it's one of those where there's probably some politicking going on up there in Buffalo. Who's in the owner's back pocket, if you will. And a lot of times GMs do tend to be a little bit closer to owners because they're the ones spending all of their money. And Brandon Beane has done an okay job, but at the same time, he hasn't brought in any weapons since Stephon Diggs to help Josh Allen out.
Yeah, and the defense is not like they're dominant. They're usually 100%. A liability, if anything. So the pass defense was great, but the run defense was a liability. So, I mean, they gave up 33 points in this playoff game. So, I mean, look, I think that was completely the wrong decision. I don't think McDermott's a bad coach. I think he's kind of been given, Josh Allen, which is great, but not a lot around that. So I don't get I think you fire them both, or you definitely don't do what they did. If anything, I would keep McDermott, but whatever. Hey, it's not my franchise. But look. On the Giants, one thing I've said, I'm excited about Harbaugh. We needed an adult in the room because of how disastrously bad this organization's been the last 10 years. So excited there. Bieniemy obviously coming back with Mahomes and run it back. Maybe Kelsey comes back. That'll be interesting to see.
Good point.
And then Mike McDaniel with Herbert will be interesting because he made Tua kind of work with not a great offensive line. So you do get Alton Slater back potentially next year. So that'll be good. So, all right, let's focus on this week here. Just a quick reminder on some futures. Fortunately, your Bills future did die, but your Denver money line play did hit. So, we'll see if I'll be hedging. I still have the Denver Broncos I gave out in the offseason at 18-1 to win the AFC. So to win one more game. I have the Rams at 11-1 to win the NFC, and I have the Rams Super Bowl at 22-1, all given out in the offseason. So if you're riding those with me, we'll see. We'll see if I'm going to hedge or if I'm going to take it on. But look, it's time. It's the divisional round, conference championship round. I didn't update my damn sheet here. NFL conference championships. Game picks, player props, game breakdowns, everything you want to know. And let's go ahead and kick it off with the first game, January 25th, Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We've got the 14-3 number 2 seed New England Patriots heading up to Mile High to take on the number 1 seed 14-3 Denver Broncos. Spread right now, as always, we're giving it out via DraftKings. It's just simple and easy, but we'll let you know if our plays come from somewhere else. Look, the Pats are laying -5.5 on the road favorites. Over under sitting at 42.5. They're -258 on the money line are the Patriots. The Denver Broncos catching 5.5 at home, +210 home dogs there for the Denver Broncos. The weather there, mid to low 30s, mostly sunny, minimal winds. Shouldn't be too much. I think I'm seeing 5-6 miles an hour. Nothing too crazy there in Mile High. Obviously, Denver, Colorado. Let's talk injuries. We'll see if probably won't have the injury reports from today, so some of this is going to be a little bit speculative. I'm going to look and see what I have most updated. I think the Broncos just put theirs out. Okay, so Carlton Davis for the Patriots is expected to practice today, which is big because he's dealing with a concussion.
Yeah.
So if he can practice, that means that he's got a good shot that he can play. Also, defensive tackle Joshua Farmer had his practice window open. Those are about, kind of closer to 40%. They'll play that first week. Typically, some guys need more than a week to come back. And then Matt Collins, wide receiver, practice window is not opened. So we'll see here. But big one, Carlton Davis sounds like if he's practicing today on Wednesday, that sounds like a good chance he is going to clear protocol, just like Christian Gonzalez did this last week before. And he's been a big piece to that defense. So that is one to watch there. For the Denver Broncos, like I said, I just got their injury report. The guys that were banged up, obviously Bo Nix out for the season with the ankle injury. That's the big one, right?
Yep.
Jarrett Stidham is going to be having to take over there. But for the Broncos practice report as of today, it also looks like Harold Landry did not practice today. I'll have to look more into that. So look for Carlton Davis and Landry. Again, probably both expected to play, but just keep an eye out for there. And for the Broncos, it looks like everybody practiced but Bo Nix, which was big because wide receiver Pat Bryant was dealing with the concussion and wide receiver Troy Franklin was dealing with the hamstring. So everyone practiced. Also, a couple of guys off IR, practice window opened. J.K. Dobbins, running back, with the foot injury. They called season ending at the beginning, and then it's like, he has a chance to return. Limited practice today. And then center Luke Wattenberg, starting center, who was on the IR with the shoulder injury. He had a full practice today. So it sounds like they may be getting their starting center back in Wattenberg, which is great news. But still, I would say questionable would be Dobbins. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to return this week. It may have to be a potential Super Bowl. But it's good news for Pat Bryant, and Troy Franklin, with them both practicing. So a lot to say. Both these teams pretty damn healthy coming in, which is good. You want to see, obviously, the big one, no Bo Nix. And then we got to see about Harold Landry and Carlton Davis on the other side there. All right, brother, passing it to you. Where do you see this game? How do you see it playing out? What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think first I want to bring up the whole Bo Nix thing, because I think, if he's healthy, I don't see the Broncos being dogs at home.
Right.
I mean, they played really well. This past week they were the number 1 seed. They're at home.
Yep.
They're a little bit thin at the wide receiver position with Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin having their issues, but at the same time, I would expect the Broncos to be favored. Now, with them getting 5.5 points here, like I just don't know if Jarrett Stidham is that much of a step down from Bo Nix. Like, Bo Nix is a comparable quarterback. He's probably a top half quarterback, maybe, but at the same time, he's like right around that midpoint to me at this stage of his career. So with Jarrett Stidham, I think he does play a very similar style of game to Bo Nix. When Sean Payton first took the Denver job, that was his first signing, was Jarrett Stidham. So he's a guy that obviously Sean Payton likes, and it sounds like he is a guy that does his homework. He's a good backup quarterback. And in general, like I said, he plays a fairly similar style of game to Bo Nix. It's kind of crazy. I think as a whole, I think I have to take the points in Denver in this one, with the ugliness that we saw from New England this past weekend. And don't forget that, yes, Vrabel has been in the playoffs before, but Drake May hasn't. And I think some of that started to come out again last week against the Houston Texans. Now, the Texans defense, really good. The Broncos defense is also pretty damn good. So I do think that the Broncos are able to get after Drake May a little bit and cause some problems for him from time to time. So yeah, give me Denver with a 5.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I love Denver in this one with the points at home. Look, this is good on good. Patriots 8-0 on the road. Broncos 8-1 at home. But this is a playoff game. I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, yes, the Patriots have handled business with the Chargers and the Texans, but those offenses have been atrociously bad. I mean,
Yeah.
they have a clear deficit in the Patriots in their offensive line. They can't block edge rushers.
No.
And you're going against two of the better edge rushers in the league in Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper.
Yep.
We saw Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson take over the game. And there was a lot of turnovers that could have been had. Like there was a lot of fumbles that guys just did not pick up and could have been, returned for touchdowns and things like that. So this is one where I'm absolutely, look, Jarrett Stidham, the first move Sean Payton made as the Denver Broncos head coach was to go get Jarrett Stidham in free agency for whatever reason. So he's been in this system for multiple years. He trusts him as a quarterback. He's got some mobility. He's a younger guy. He's 29. He's come out. They both played at Auburn. There's always that picture floating around of when he was the starting quarterback and he was the recruit. But yeah, man, I like Denver here. I think their offense does a lot of similar things. I think their defense is able to contain, like the Patriots. It's interesting because the score could seem like they've convincingly been winning these games. But if you've been watching these games, it's been anything but. It's really been more of an ineptitude on the other side. Their defense has been playing very well. But now you're going on the road, tough environment. You got the altitude. I like Denver in this one as well. Plus 5.5 at home, playoff game. I think that's just way too much, even with the backup quarterback.
Right.
All right, where are we going props wise?
Yeah, you mentioned Stidham likes to use his legs. He's a fairly mobile guy. I love his rushing for this week. So give me Stidham over 15.5. But I think this is going to be something that I'm going to ladder. So if we take it up to 20 plus, it's plus 145. 30 plus, it's plus 350. I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way up to 40 at plus 725. I mean, as a whole, New England's rush defense has been really, really good against the running backs. Quarterback-wise, it's been so-so when they go up against more mobile types of quarterbacks. So, I mean, just a couple weeks ago, Herbert ran all over him for 57 yards. If we look back, back a few weeks prior to that, Josh Allen ran for 48 yards. And I think being this being Stidham's first game in a while here, and it being obviously the championship game, or the conference championship game, I think that he's going to want to get out on the edge and want to scamper around a little bit. So yeah, I think Stidham's rushing totals take it all the way up to at least 40.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm on that too. Over 13.5 over on FanDuel, minus 114 at the base there. I like your idea of laddering it. I'm also on his over rush attempts, 4.5 plus 115 over at Bet365. Obviously, it's a quarterback, so you're getting any type of kneel downs, whether it's before half or if they win the game, you kneel it out. Also, when you look back, 2022, 7 rushes for 34 yards, 7 rushes for 50 yards. 2023, he had 6 rushes, a 3-rush game. And we talked about it, like this Broncos offense relies on the quarterback's mobilities. There will be some run pass options, get him out on the edge. And maybe it's not like he has to break it for super long runs. He's got low numbers on both. So I just think it's almost when you play rookies and you play backup quarterbacks, you haven't played, 1 read, 2 read, tuck it and run. Right. So if your first, second read's not there, you're going to tuck it and run. So I do like that one as well. All right. What else you got for us?
Yeah, give me Trevion Henderson, who's the leading back for New England throughout the regular season, under 35.5 rushing yards at minus 108. I think I got that one at DraftKings. But like I said, throughout the regular season, he was the lead back for New England. He rushed for over 900 yards in his rookie campaign. The first couple playoff games for the young rook haven't necessarily looked real great. I mean, he had 9 carries for 27 against the Chargers and 12 for 25 this past week. So he's getting volume, but he's not being productive with it. And I think at this point in the playoffs, Vrabel's going to just feed the hot hand and continue to hand it to Ramondre Stevenson a little bit more. He's the veteran guy. He's been the hot hand. I think that Ramondre Stevenson's going to get more carries in this one. And Henderson might get a few less. It's a little scary because, yes, he can bust one for 35 at any time in one run. But at the same time, he hasn't been productive this playoffs. So, yeah, give me his under.
Yeah, no, I like it. Look, I'm going to go to the other quarterback, Drake May, over 30.5 rushing yards. That's over at FanDuel.
Okay.
Minus 114 there. So it's a little bit of, we saw him in the first playoff game run a ton. He ran for like 60 yards
Yeah.
against the Chargers there. And
Yep.
then he was a little bit more muted this last game, partly because he didn't need to,
Trying
partly
to
he was
tell you.
still running for his life, though. And I think that the pressure of this, he still had 4 rushes for 10 yards. He just didn't really break one. A little bit, maybe the weather
Yep.
there. Texans defense a little bit better at containing the quarterback, but he's a guy who likes to use his legs, and I think
Yep.
he's going to have to in this game.
Yep.
The Broncos, they'll allow you to do some of that too. Similar, both these defenses are very similar. They're trying to get after the quarterback. And they'll give up some of the rushing stuff. So I know 30.5 is a much bigger number, but I think he is, looking for
Definitely
it more,
capable for sure.
especially on the road. First road playoff start. Yes, I understand he's had 2 starts in the playoffs, but he's still, again, second year guy, inexperienced.
Yep.
He's not going to want to make that mistake and throw it up there. And he's definitely a guy who's prone to some turnover. So if he throws an early interception, I can definitely see him, holding and tucking a couple of those. So
Yep.
I'm on the Drake May rushing there.
I don't mind that at all. I had one issue with what you just said though, because I am taking Drake May's over a half interception. I do think he throws one in this game. It's his first road start. It's his second year, but it's his first run through the playoffs, and against the defense that likes to get after the quarterback. We just saw him last week, fumble a few times. And he just hasn't looked as good in the playoffs. He's thrown a pick in both of the first 2 playoff games. I do think that Drake May's number is a little enticing as a whole at plus 108. So give me Drake May to throw a pick.
No, and like I said, I if you were listening, I said he's going to throw an early interception, and then he's going to tuck it to prevent further interceptions. Would be what I'm going to go with there. But I do actually really like that, especially at plus money. He's throwing it against 2 defenses that look, Texans may be a little bit better than the Broncos, but I don't think the Chargers are. So, and like you said, it's very, it looks like it doesn't matter.
And we also know that he's only going to be throwing to one side of the field. You got Pat Surtain on one side. So,
Patriots, another last offensive prop for me for them. They're a little bit susceptible. The Broncos are to the tight end. Give me Hunter Henry over 43.5 receiving yards, minus 112. I think this could be a big Henry game. Dalton Kincaid had 6 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown. I could see something very similar. Wasn't very involved last week, but he did have 3 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown in the first playoff game against the Chargers. He's been a reliable target for Drake May. He's at 56, 49, 73, 115. He's had some big games here, and I think that it's going to be a bit tougher to throw on the edge, going with Pat Surtain and some of those other guys. I think if you can target the middle of the field, that's an area where you can have some success there against those linebackers. So give me Hunter Henry over 43.5. I believe that's over at DraftKings there. All right. Any more plays for you?
Nope. That's it for this game.
All right. I will breeze through some of my other ones here. I got to talk defense. Looking at these things here, Patriots, their safeties has been coming to play of late as far as making some tackles there. So give me Craig Woodson over 5.5 total tackles at plus 102. I think, a couple things here. One, I think the Broncos are going to have to try to run the ball a little bit more than they're used to with the backup quarterback there. Also, the way he plays around the line of scrimmage, he's been flying around. He had, I believe, 7 tackles in this last game. Young player that's just getting better. So I like backing him there. And then I'm going to be on some Broncos sacks, of course. Will Campbell is a liability. This whole entire line is a liability. So I'm going to go Jonathan Franklin Myers over a quarter of a sack, plus 238. He's my little bit of a long shot guy. He's the 3rd sack getter on the team. He had 7.5 sacks this year. Half a sack catches us almost a plus 250. I think the edge rushers are going to move Drake May around. He could just welcome himself into a sack there. Sure. And then because of what Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson did last week, they combined for 5 sacks between the 2 of them. Give me Nick Benito 1 sack combined with Jonathan Cooper 1 sack for 3-1. They are 2 premier edge rushers. I think they're going to give, whether it's Campbell or whatever side of the offensive line, some real trouble there. And then I got a couple dart throws at touchdowns. Marvin Mims and wide receiver Little Jordan Humphrey, both of them scored last week with the injuries to Pat Bryan and Troy Franklin.
Yep.
Both those guys a little banged up. I think that both those guys have the opportunity to take the top off the defense a little bit, let the backup quarterback air it out some. You can get over the top of these Patriots. Their aggressive defense, a double move. I think it was Aikman. And one of them, the announcers were begging for them to try to throw a double move. CJ Stroud. Their offensive line couldn't give them any time. This Denver Broncos offensive line is much better than the Houston Texans. So, yep, those are the plays for the first game. Let's go ahead and move on over to the night game here. We're going to see this for the third time this season. Another division.
I like this night game. 6:30 kick. Let's go.
Yes, that's one that you can make work for you. Sunday, January 25th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time here. We've got the 12-5 LA Rams. They are taking on the 14-3 number 1 seed Seattle Seahawks. Going up to Lumen Field here, you got the traveling Rams catching 2.5, plus 130 on the money line. Over-under sitting at 46.5. The Seattle Seahawks laying 2.5 at home, minus 155 home favorites. It's up at Lumen Field, expected to be mid to low 40s. Minimal wind from what we can tell in the injury report this week. The weather report. Going to the injury report, only player that left for the Rams last week was Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback, but he was cleared to return to the game. He didn't, but sounds like he should be good to go for this week. Based on what I'm seeing, defensive back Quentin Lake was sick and away from the team, but he's expected to be back. Most of these guys sick early in the week do play. The Seattle Seahawks have a little bit more injury concern. Big one is the running back, RB2, RB1B, whatever you want to call him, Zach Charbonnet. He's out for the year with a torn ACL, actually, unfortunately. So he's out for this year and most of next year. Yep. And then left tackle Charles Cross, he left the game with a foot injury. He was also coming off a hamstring injury and a knee injury. So he's been banged up. So he's going to be one to watch there. And, of course, Sam Darnold with that oblique injury. Looks like he said won't be throwing the ball every play in practice this week. So still obviously a thing that may be bothering him. But running back George Holani did have his practice window open. So maybe, hey, he's no Zach Charbonnet, but someone that can maybe fill in as the RB2 slot there. Right. But big loss is Charbonnet. And then left tackle Charles Cross is one to watch there for the Seattle Seahawks. Yep. All right, brother, where are you taking us in this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a division matchup. Third time we've seen these two teams meet up. And as a whole, I mean, we saw two very different games throughout the regular season. One was kind of a slugfest, more of a defensive battle. I think the total is like 38, 39 points. Yep. And then the other one was like that 75-point banger a couple weeks just a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
There was some funky things that happened towards the end of that game. We're not going to get into those, but as a whole, since that happened, since Seattle got that win against the Rams on the road down there in LA, this Seattle defense has looked awesome, only giving up 10 points to the Carolina Panthers playoff team, 3 points to a San Francisco 49ers team, playoff team, and 6 points to the 49ers this past week. So their defense is looking really, really good. Offensively, has been putting up some numbers as well. So for this one, I think I have to go with the Seattle Seahawks being at home. I know it's Sam Darnold against Matt Stafford. I don't care. I think that Seattle defense, especially with the 12th man there in Seattle, is going to ball out here and take down the Rams twice in a row towards the end of the season. I mean, the Rams as a whole have been looking pretty good offensively, but defensively have definitely been middling at best. So yeah, give me the Seahawks laying the 2.5.
Yeah, look, this is where we're going to disagree. Ooh. I am going to go with the Rams here. And I think a lot of it does have to do with Sam Darnold. I understand he's played better. I understand that, look, now he has a playoff win. But, I mean, 12 for 17, 1 touchdown, 124 yards. He didn't have to do much, let's be honest. That game was over before it started. In the 2 games he's played against the Rams this season, he's had 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. 6 of his 14 interceptions have come against this team. They clearly are in his head. And now he's dealing with
He got the turnovers in half. What are you talking about? Between the first and second game.
What was it?
He cut his turnovers in half from the first game they played to the second game. That's good.
That is good. He's making progress.
If he does that again, that's
true. That would be I mean, he'd only have one, but
okay.
I don't trust him with the oblique injury. Now again, I'm also going to be playing the over in this game, the over 46.5 here. I think that when you look at what Stafford has done against this Seattle Seahawks team, I mean, he beat them the first time, 21-19, and then his last game when he lost, he threw for like 400 plus yards, 4 touchdowns. I do think that Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and those tight ends are going to be able to get some things going against this really good Rams defense. I think this Seahawks defense. Seahawks defense is good, but I think last week was a little bit more about San Francisco just kind of dumped the Gatorade, didn't have anything really left in the tank. So I like the over in this one, and I think Seattle is going to be able to move the ball on the Rams defense. I just think that Darnold's turnovers are going to be the big difference in this one. So I'm on the Rams plus the 2.5 as the small road dogs there. I'm going to trust Matthew Stafford and McVay and the experience over Darnold and McDonald there. But I do think this is going to be close. This one was much harder to pick for me than the first one there. Where are we going with the props here?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Kenneth Walker because I really like him from a couple different angles. I do think that he's going to get the ball rolling on the ground against this Rams team. I mean, if we look back at their 2 previous meetings, and this is just running backs as a whole, but they ran for 132 in week 16. And then they ran for 110 in week 1. We talked about how Zach Charbonnet is not going to be an option. I don't know if Cam Akers is going to be much of an option. I think it's going to be the Kenneth Walker show. At the same time, they didn't necessarily have to hand the ball off to the running backs a ton when they ran for 132 yards total between Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, only 20 times. So I think as a whole, I mean, game script wise, I think there are going to be points scored in this game. I think that they're going to be moving the ball through the rushing game. I just don't necessarily know if that many attempts are going to be needed. So give me Kenneth Walker over 85.5 rushing yards at -110, and then his under carries at under 19.5 at -101. If we just look back at his 2 games this season against the Rams, he ran for 100 yards just a few weeks ago and 67 in the first matchup, but Charbonnet also had 11 carries in that one as well. So definitely bit into his attempts. So yeah, I love Kenneth Walker in this one.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the over rushing angle
and then reverse correlation. If we want to put those together as well. I think if you do that, it's I think plus 425.
Yeah, it's a nice little same game there. I like the negative correlation there because you're getting the number's going to be juiced because everyone's expecting him to get all the carries, which is a bit unrealistic.
Yep.
Whether it's Helani or Akers or somebody's going to get some. I've got an idea who may take some. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker as well, but I'm going to go his receiving yards over 21.5, -114 there. Look, the last 2 games he's played against the Rams, he's had, you talked about his 100 yards rushing. He had 64 yards receiving on 3 catches. And then the week before, the time before, the first time, 3 catches for 44 yards. And then even last week, 3 catches for 29 yards. And that was all with Charbonnet on the field, who can sometimes be out there and passing, but they love him in the screen game. I think that's an area where, we saw Monungai take advantage of this Rams defense like that. Yep. So I like Kenneth Walker on the receiving angle. I also just give one out here, Rashid Shaheed over a half a yard there on the receiving angle. I do think, rushing angle. Shaheed. Now he's a guy that either he gets it and it's big or he doesn't get it right. Now you're down one of these guys here in Charbonnet, so you're probably looking for somebody else to run the ball. And he's provided some explosive runs. 2 carries for 27 yards last week. Then he had, against the Rams, last time they played, 1 carry for 31 yards. Like, he's good for a carry and to pop over here. So I like that. I think they get creative here at the playoffs. Everything kind of comes out. This is one where I'm going to be playing the ladder. The over half a yard is minus 120. That's like, is he going to get a carry?
Yeah.
And then the 20 plus rushing yards is plus 750. 30 plus is 15 to 1 over on Bet365. So this is one where I'm going to be laddering the Shaheed rushing there.
Okay.
What else you got for us?
Yeah, let's get back into the interception market. So as a whole, both of these quarterbacks definitely have will be given the opportunity to throw interceptions. Obviously, Darnold has thrown 6 in their previous 2, but Stafford does tend to be a gunslinger at times and can turn the ball over. So basically, I'm playing these together. I think there are going to be some turnovers, which lead to some scoring opportunities to keep pushing that score up. Stafford, if you play him alone, it's minus 121. Darnold's minus 140. Together, it's basically 2 to 1. So, yeah, I really think that, yes, the Rams are in Darnold's head. I think that he throws at least one, hopefully only one.
You're riding a thin line there, brother.
Hopefully only one.
I mean, threw 2 and still won the game last time. So
exactly. So, yeah, I do like both quarterbacks to throw a pick.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. All right, I've got a couple more interesting ones here. Sam Darnold over rushing, 5.5 yards, minus 114. He didn't need to run last game, obviously, just did no need. Nope. Against the Rams last time, 3 rushes for 7 yards, and then the other time, 2 rushes for 11 yards. Rams are another team that aggressive defense. They can tend to over pursue, especially against a guy like Darnold.
Sure.
They're going to be trying to go for the sacks and not going to be worried about him running at all. It's playoffs, home game, everything on the line. So that's where I'm going there. Sure. That's over at FanDuel. And then another one at FanDuel, Puka Nacua over 4.5 rushing yards. Very similar to the Shaheed angle. This is one where everything's on the table. They've kind of really been trying to get Puka involved in the running game, especially some of those like 3rd and shorts and 4th and shorts. They've been, instead of just running right up the middle with Kyron, they've gotten creative and given the ball. He had 3 carries for 14 yards and a touchdown last week or against the Panthers, 2 carries for 6 yards against the Chicago Bears there. So I think this is one, he hasn't ran against the Seahawks at least last game. He did in the first game, 2 for 18. But playoffs, everything's on the line. So I'm on Shaheed, Darnold, and Nacua rushing in this one. I think this is going to get a little bit weird. All right, what's your last prop for this one?
Yep, last one. Cooper Kupp, over 30.5 receiving yards. I mean, Cooper Kupp was the leading receiver this past week. I mean, they didn't throw the ball a ton, but he was he did lead the team in targets and receptions. And looking back at his game log, where to go? I had it here. I'm just going to pull it up again. I think he had 3 catches in both games. Yeah. I looked at his total. I think it was right at 3.5, but it was heavily juiced to the under. So I didn't, or maybe it was, I can't remember. It was heavily juiced in one direction. But looking back through here, he had 39 yards this past game. He had 3 catches for like 27 the first time they matched up. So I think they go to another wily vet in Coop quite a bit here. So Cooper Kupp's over 30.5.
Yeah, I mean, revenge angle too is there. Yeah. Yep. So I mean, he'd love to stick it to his buddy Stafford. Because at that point, who wouldn't? But I don't mind that. Yeah, I don't mind the Kupp play. Obviously, I'm not going to be on too many pro Seahawks plays, but this is going to be, I think it's going to be a close game. I mean, that's why I think the 2.5 may matter here in this one. All right, defense time. I don't have quite as many. I've got 2 plays revolved around the same dude here, and that's safety Nick Omanwari here. So couple things. First play, over 7.5 total tackles, minus 105. He had 11 last time they played. He only had 3 in the first matchup because he got injured. So obviously that kind of takes into account there. When you look at the Rams, safeties have to make a lot of tackles against them, whether it's Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. Obviously they're throwing the ball a decent amount, but Just the way that they kind of run their offense, whether it's he's down in the run game against Kyron Williams,
Yep.
whatever it may be. But Eman Warrior is a guy from the rookie from South Carolina. He likes to lay the wood. So I like that there over the 7.5. Again, 11 tackles in the one full game he actually played against them. And then I like him to get a sack over on FanDuel. I will be looking for more linebackers, safeties for the outside of the kind of the box for the Seattle Seahawks. And here's why. He was plus 630 over on FanDuel. Obviously, it's a bit of a long shot because he does lead the secondary with 2.5 sacks on the season. And the past couple of weeks, the blitz has really given the Rams trouble. The Panthers did it and got to Stafford multiple times. The Bears followed suit. Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, these DBs, they were blitzing off the end. I think McDonald sees that on tape, and he's got the guys that'll do that. So I'll probably be playing a couple of these safeties or DBs, whether it's a Witherspoon or something like that, especially if the price is right, because plus 630 is just the kind of entry point here. So I do think the blitzing of the Seattle Seahawks can give this Rams offensive line some trouble, more so than just their front seven, which is pretty nasty in itself.
Right.
Those are defensive plays. All right, my friend. I think it is time for everybody's favorite segment, the best bets segment. That is right. Our Doc's prescriptions, bets we feel so good about. We are prescribing them to you. What is your lock for NFL Conference Championship weekend?
Yeah, I think I have to roll Stidham in the Denver Broncos. I think there's just too much going against the New England Patriots for them to completely blow them out. Now, I think they have I think the Patriots are favored for a reason. Jarrett Stidham is a backup quarterback making his first start of the year.
Sure.
But with Drake May, first road start in the playoffs, and just playing in that environment of Denver, I mean, they definitely have a little bit of a home field advantage there. Denver plus 5.5.
Yeah. I love it. I got the same play. I mean, look, there's only 2 games, so I don't know how creative we can get here, but Denver plus 5.5. It's my favorite play on the board. Definitely spread wise. A lot of what you said, home field. I think these fans are going to be going absolutely berserk.
Yep.
Drake May, first playoff
altitude.
He's shown the ability to turn the ball over. He's going against the number 1 sack defense in the NFL. His offensive line is a huge question mark in this one. Okay. I think there's going to be some turnovers, and I think that Jarrett Stidham does enough to get it ready. So I'm on plus 5.5 there. What's your money line dog this week?
The Denver Broncos. I think the Patriots are favored for a reason. It's the backup quarterback, but you also have a second-year quarterback making his first road start. And I think that this Denver Broncos defense is going to give him fits. And I think that Denver is live on the money line, even with a backup quarterback, like I mentioned before. I don't think Stidham's that big of a step down from Bo Nix. So, give me Denver on the money line. What was their number?
Yeah, it was
plus 210.
Plus 210. Yeah, your dog's a lot bigger than mine. I'm going to go with LA Rams. Give me the Rams and Stafford plus 130 to go into Lumen Field and come out with a victory again. That's what they did the last time they were there, if memory serves me correct. I believe that's how that went.
Yep.
But I just think that I'm going to trust Stafford here over Darnold. Again, I don't love it. It's probably not, it's not something I'm going to be laying a huge amount of money on. But it is one where I do realistically think that this is a coin flip game. So in a coin flip game, I'm going to take the team where I'm getting some points and getting some plus money there. I think Darnold and his demons and the oblique and the ghosts and everything is going to be there. No Charbonnet, potentially no Charles Cross, and their backup left tackle also didn't play last week. So even if Charles Cross does play, he's clearly banged up. So I think that could have an effect there in this game. But I do think this is going to come down to the wire. I think this game is going to be awesome. I hope the Broncos game is going to be awesome as well. That one may be sloppy again, but I do think this one's going to be much better football. I think Stafford has shown he's gone against this really good defense twice. He's shown he can be effective. They're healthy on offense. I think that's going to be big in this one. All right, what's your Degen play of the week?
Yeah, I'm just going to add a little bit to a play that I spoke about earlier. So I was on that kind of negative correlation, kind of reversing angles here with Kenneth Walker in that NFC game. I gave out Kenneth Walker over 85.5 rushing yards, his under 19.5 rush attempts. But what if we just throw the first touchdown on the board as well. He is the chalkiest of all chalk in the anytime touchdown department for both games. If we look at both, but his first touchdown price, I think was at plus 425. I think if we combined his rushing over yards, under attempts, I think that was also a plus 425. If we put all three together, 24-1.
Yeah, I like it. A little bit of the reverse correlation. He gets in the first touchdown, and then he doesn't get the 20 carries. Yep. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, look, the last time they played, 11 carries, over 100 yards, and a touchdown. So 24-1, that sounds pretty.
It's already happened. Boom.
All right, I've got two. One I have to talk about, and one will be more my official play. One's a little bit of the more Degen category.
Yep.
It's pretty simple. Anytime touchdown, round robin of every team's defense and special teams touchdown to score. Look, you've got the quarterbacks. And last week, the Patriots scored, defense scored, and the Seattle's defense or special teams scored. So you've got Drake May, who's coming off a 4 turnover game and can't hold it on the ball. He's fumbles the ball anytime he's got contact and gets the number 1 sack defense in the league. You've got a backup quarterback in Jarrett Stidham going against a defense that's coming off a streak. I think of the last 2 games, pick 6 or whatever they've done, but just coming off that. You've got the Seattle Seahawks, who Rashid Shaheed just took to the house last game. He returned a punt against the Rams for a touchdown last time they played. Yep. And then you got this Rams defense going against Sam Darnold, who they've in 2 games forced 6 interceptions from. So Denver's at plus 550, New England plus 400, Seattle plus 400, LA Rams plus 550. I think they're all live. If you want to get crazy and parlay them, it's 100, I think it's 1,022 to 1.
That's a lot of digits.
It's a lot. It's an area. Yeah, it's a phone number there.
1220 to 1.
But I'll be playing them all. I'll be round robbing them. I really think there's a good shot. So I had to get that out there. But the official Degen play, Jarrett Stidham, 30-plus rush yards. That's plus 410 on its own. Okay. Kenneth Walker, 40-plus receiving yards, plus 210. 17-1, plus 1,634 on its own over at FanDuel. I mean, that's the Degen play there. Stidham, we talked about it. Backup quarterback. He's got some mobility there. I think he can run. Kenneth Walker, he's gone over 40-plus receiving yards in the last 2 games against the Rams. There's no Charbonnet. He's going to be on the field. And I think that screen game can be really effective. So those are both. You talked about laddering Stidham. I love that rushing yards. I talked about with the receiving angle for Walker. So I'm just going to put those together. Again, Stidham 30-plus rush, Walker 40-plus, 16, almost 17 to 1. All right, as a recap, I will start with Professor Locks here. He is on the Broncos, plus 5.5 is the lock, and on the money line for the dog of the week. And he's got Kenneth Walker over 84.5 rush yards, under 19.5 attempts, and to score the first touchdown at 24-1. For myself, I also have the Denver Broncos as my lock this week. I got the LA Rams on the money line as the dog, and Stidham 30-plus rush, Kenneth Walker 40-plus receiving, 17-1. All right, brother, that is it. That is the NFL Conference Championship. Best bets, player props, game breakdowns, everything you could want.
That's right.
What else do you got for the people before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I mean, we got some, I guess, breaking news. We're going to be throwing out a bonus episode tomorrow. We got a little sponsor that's wanting to give you guys some free money. So if you tune in tomorrow, learn about statement games a little bit. You'll have the chance to bring home some cash by just signing up. So yeah, definitely want to tune into that. It's all about, I think we're talking about the NFC game tomorrow for the most part. So we'll be talking about some different angles, NFC game for statement games. But as always, you guys have been awesome throughout the season. We greatly appreciated all the support. Tell us what you guys are backing this weekend down in the comments. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And then tell a friend, tell a buddy, tell a coworker, tell a family member to make sure they're of legal age, because if not, that's on you.
I like it. I like the disclaimer there. As Derek was alluding to, look, no college football. College football is over. Hopefully you checked out the national championship episode. Derek got you on the right side, and I got you on some nice props, including a 6-1 and a 2-1 that came home. So very, very profitable show, and we just want to talk to you more. So we do have a new episode because you guys have been so awesome this year. We have a new sponsor. It is Statement Game. We're going to release a video tomorrow talking about that. Like Derek said, it's an opportunity for you to win money. It's very simple. All you got to do is subscribe and then enter your thing there. We will go over it all tomorrow. That will be out. Short video. We're going to be breaking down the game a little bit more, but really kind of talking about Statement Games, how this works, and it is completely free, and you can win up to $75. And if you really like it, might be able to win up to $100 for the Super Bowl. So stay tuned. We're trying to get you some free money because you guys have been so well to us. So don't do us dirty. Hit us with a like and subscribe on the way out. Check out that video tomorrow and enjoy this NFL playoffs. It's almost the Super Bowl time. We've almost made it, folks. Keep the winning going. You know what they say. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Doc, we've got your prescription from Professor Locks and Doc here on DFSG Plus. We are out of here.